Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. The verdict is in, and you are guilty. You are guilty. We all are guilty. We run our lives with guilt. Why do we do this? Where does this guilt come from? How does it impact our lives? How does it hold us back? We are going to talk about guilt today on the show. And she's an amazing psychotherapist. So much insight comes from her, people she's worked with, and that could be children, adults, couples. Great to have Susie Engel back on the program. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine, Steve. How are you?
I'm trying to think if I feel guilty at this moment. I'm going to say it. If I start going deep in my mind about even current situations, there will be flecks of guilt, even though it's on my radar. And I'm thinking of them right now. A few different ones here, another one over there. I'm almost going to say it's not, you can't escape it.
Well, and guilt is a natural emotion. It is a true emotion. All the little kids who come here, we usually try to figure out through these body scans, because a lot of trauma work is, where do you notice it in your body? Because our bodies sometimes store experiences, especially pre-verbal experiences. And whenever we get to guilt, first of all, I always ask the children who come here, and teenagers too, so what's your concept of guilt? And everyone, right off the bat, they say, when you do the wrong thing and you know the right thing to do. And then I say, where do you feel it in your body? And every kid, without even knowing, goes to the left side of the brain, the analytic side, the conscience, it's not so much the emotional creative side. It's always like this thinking thing that happens when people start ruminating, they feel guilty. So true guilt really is, I did the wrong thing and I know the right thing to do.
Okay, I want to go right there. Say that one more time.
I did the wrong thing and I know the right thing to do.
Okay. And fair enough there. But would you say that many times we're thinking it's the wrong thing? We're imposing the guilt on ourselves, especially when it comes to things like self-care, where we feel guilty that we're taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely. So now we've got not doing the wrong thing. I just feel badly about doing the right thing for myself. Yeah. And so guilt, I usually talk about this with any aged client as false guilt. It's like some sort of mix up, some sort of confusion, some sort of structure in our brain that flips when we do, like you're talking about self-care. Let's just stick with that. If I take a break and don't spend all of my free time devoted to, maybe family members or this or that, whatever it is, am I going to feel guilty, that guilt, because it's just, sometimes it's modeled for us. Sometimes it's taught to us like, blood is thicker, But false guilt really is when you tell yourself and start feeling badly about doing something that's actually good for you or healthy for you. And believing things like this, I feel selfish if I do something for myself. I hear that quite often from clients. It's selfish when she does something for herself. And it's just like, why? Where did you learn this concept that when somebody does something good for themselves, himself or herself, that it's selfish?
Well, that's a really great point you bring up. Where does it come from? It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Would it be potentially childhood?
Yeah, I mean, everything comes from childhood, if you ask me. I mean, it's not cliche either. It's when we have these in our childhood, whether it's the infancy through toddlerhood that brings us to early childhood, or whether it's adolescence, those are huge growth spurts in our development. We are growing fast, our bodies are changing fast, and our information networks are sprouting in all sorts of ways, but we're not adult. So all of our information networks are influenced by family, parents, society, teachers, and it really gets mixed up. But the issue I also want to get to today is when we're talking about things that are productive in personal growth and, pretty much recovering from difficult experiences in life in therapy, it's not the goal isn't to throw you into some sort of spiral of guilt. The goal is to be able to look at these things and start separating how I can view these things today rather than being so immersed in it because that's how we were brought up for our whole life.
But you don't sometimes know you're doing it. 6 years ago, I signed up for a gym, huge gym, brand new place, 800 feet from this building. And I would go into that gym and I would get on the treadmill for 12 minutes. And then I would start feeling guilt, thinking, oh, yeah, I got stuff to take care of at work. I mean, what if I'm not focusing on certain things and things fall by the wayside? There was no indication or any reason why I needed to worry about anything. That's a whole other topic, worrying about things that never transpire. By the way, research out again today. It's about 91%. We can go there in a moment if you want. Literally today. Saved it.
Good. You did a good job last podcast too about, being afraid of our children and the kids being infantilized.
Yeah.
And they need extra attention. And so nice. Okay. So let's see if we can reference this.
There was no reason for me to be worrying about anything. But after 12 minutes, I was like, let me get off this treadmill. And I went to work. And that would go on and on. I've since changed it. And sometimes I'm going to admit I feel guilty a little bit here and there. Can talk about that. But now I realize how important self-care is. I don't know why I felt guilty. Maybe it was the fear of not digging into work. Gosh forbid something were to happen. Nothing did. Again, there was no indication.
Right. Yeah.
There's something there from, confronted that from back in the day, and that's, all gone now. But the guilt just comes up. Sometimes we don't even know why we're doing it.
Yeah. And so sometimes if we say most things go back to childhood, remember, and we talk about this somewhat consistently, is children also internalize. If we said to our parents, you remember when I was 6 and and told them our perspective when we were 6, and our parents are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. But in the meantime, it starts these ideas within us that sometimes aren't superimposed by our parents. It just, children internalize self-blame because they're dependent on we as children are dependent on our parents. If we are dependent on our parents and we start feeling like something's uncomfortable or something's wrong, we can't readily challenge that as a little youngster because we're dependent on them. So there's some sort of authority or intimidation, or not that our parents are coercive. It's just that it's the nature of being dependent on our elders or our parents. if that makes sense. But I'll bring something up. My mother is 97 years old and her mind is as sharp as it's ever been. And I'll bring something up and say, I almost felt badly about this and I really just don't have the time. And my mother will say, you don't have to explain yourself. Anyone would understand that. And, so she's not saying, oh, feel guilty about it. She's saying, don't you dare feel guilty about it. But somehow we've all from early on flipped things in our minds, which is why it's good for us to examine these things.
Which is why we all need therapy.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, does it? And it's not about guilting you that you've done things wrong, because that's just reinforcing what you may have internalized already. It's not about that. It's just about like, wow, I can broaden my perspective and I can loosen up about this stuff.
What do we do in those moments where we start to feel guilty? How do we determine if this is legit guilt or we're just throwing it on ourselves?
Yeah, good. So go back to the basics. Am I doing the wrong thing, like morally wrong thing, when I know the right thing to do? And usually it's no, I'm not doing anything wrong by taking a day off. Or, people who work for corporations, big corporations, they grapple with this. They've earned sick days, they've earned vacation days, and they feel guilty when they log on to take their vacation days.
Yep, that was me.
How could you feel guilty? But this is why we have to have this conversation.
Oh my gosh, there's so much vacation time I left on the table over the years, and I didn't view it so much that I earned it. It was more of I'll look more valuable if I don't take all that time, and I don't want to be a burden. I'm not saying this is right at all. I regret it, but it was a lesson. I don't want to be a burden because they'll have to hire somebody or bring somebody in to take my place while I'm not available on vacation.
Yeah.
Where does that guilt come from? I think it's more of down to the reasons why we're people pleasers.
Yes.
And the same.
Next step in the conversation.
Oh.
Because that's a defense. Like we adapt to life and we become people pleasing until we realize that this is obsolete for us. If I spend my life pleasing others, I'm not going to be fulfilled or content in my own skin, on my own 2 feet, in my own life. And this is just a maturity thing. We have to outgrow those things. Having the nature of being considerate towards others or wanting, in the family setting, I want a dish of ice cream. Do all of you want a dish of ice cream? I'm going to serve all of you before I serve myself. That's beautiful. That's nice. That's consideration. But to feel badly that you want a dish of ice cream, that's like false guilt right there.
Okay, that's you just nailed it. That's where I was going with this. False guilt. How to differentiate between real guilt or this made up stuff that doesn't even. Yes, we can feel guilty. Let's say your friend's got something going on and you already made plans and you can't attend it. You feel a little guilty that you're going to miss it. And
that's not guilt. I'm worried that I'm going to hurt them. And there's only one of me and I already made plans. For feeling badly about that is, and also you said something just a minute ago about taking time off from work that you have earned. It's part of the package.
That's false guilt.
And to feel like you're a burden, that also is an adaptation or like the people pleasing stuff that comes from childhood. Our brain plays tricks on us until people start clarifying that with us. And most people don't clarify things with us because everybody's on autopilot and we don't process things. And we don't say, how was that for you? And we don't stop and just slow down and say, wait a minute, like, good for you. I used to travel with my son every August when he was coming up in the world. And I would tell everybody, we're going to be gone for 2-3 weeks. Do not call if there is an emergency. Do not contact my hotel. Do not try to reach me in any shape or form, because if there is an emergency, there is nothing I can do if I am in Egypt, or I am in Europe, or I am in Peru, or I am in, the Galapagos Islands. And it felt great to do that. And all of my friends would always say, isn't that just so hard to do? Isn't that just so, don't you feel guilty not to be available and check in with everybody? And I'm like, no, it's the easiest thing to do.
You released the guilt, though. Didn't exist for you.
I don't have guilt. And I don't do anything that makes me feel guilty. I think I do. I'm a hard worker. I think I keep my word.
I don't, there's nothing in my mind that I would ever do that would make me feel guilty. The false guilt kind of floats occasionally. It'll come. I'm going to take a few days off very soon. And I did it back in June. That was my summer vacation. It was relaxation, basically a retreat for me.
Solitude, right?
Solitude.
Like you had time to yourself.
It was.
How are you talking about it?
Game changing. And you know what? I'm going to do it again.
Yeah,
it's so inexpensive. There's almost no reason not to, but I was even thinking about it. Well, a little guilty about this situation here and a little bit this situation over there. And the more as I get closer to going away, it's like, what am I worrying about? What? No.
Smack yourself across the face.
Yeah, you're right.
Get yourself out of it.
You're just like, yeah, you're right. No, but you're right. But you're 100 billion% right. And as I just lean back and I see different things, even talk with you, the more of it comes clear. Like, what are you worried about? Well, or people in my life, last time I went away, somebody even said, well, I thought you wanted to go away together. Why don't we, ask me? I'm like, no, I'm doing my own thing.
Well, and also I think a lot of people in our lives, we could probably assess, really do have a hard time that it may be easy for me to do that and not easy for him or her to do that. And so they get a little begrudging. And when somebody is begrudging, and this is a very important part of this conversation, if there are people in our lives who begrudge that we are fulfilling some of our goals or doing something that's fun for us or good for us or just that we enjoy, if they're begrudging of that, it's their negativity. Yes. And that is just a whole downer. Like, I'm sorry for them, but that can't suck the joy out of our lives.
But totally, if you look at it does. And let's say you're in a relationship and one person makes time for themselves and you don't. And let's say maybe you work a little harder than they do, but we can all find time for ourselves and self-care. Yeah. You may look at the other person and resent them. You're able to do whatever whenever you want to. I'm slaving away, working away, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. No, you can do the same exact thing if you work it and you find the time.
But if you're I'm kind of excited about this podcast right now, because then we're getting into this whole thing when people come for therapy and they're just like, I'm really working on my resentment. Listen, it is that person's perspective who would be angry that their partner or a significant other or a husband or wife, whoever, the boyfriend, girlfriend, it just doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Whoever it is in our lives who are independent and doing activities that bring them fulfillment. If I were to be bitter about that, that is just my problem. It's got nothing to do with the other person. It's not about I work harder, they work harder. It's not about any of that. It's about what is my bent on needing to be so bitter that somebody else knows how to enjoy life. And that's the nugget. Like somebody's got to work that through. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. I tell my clients, like, look, this is an inside job. And we will find our way because your system's going to show you. But this is an inside. It's got nothing to do that it's not fair that they make more money or that I work harder or they don't work harder. It's not about any of that. It's just about there's something that this person is angry or resentful about. That's about this person.
It's about that person. And I love what you just said. The other person knows how to enjoy life. It doesn't have to be about money. It doesn't any of that. They could be, they get on their, $100 bike and go for a ride and they're enjoying life. They're enjoying the weather, the grounding, all of that. You play tennis. Yeah. You play tennis and that brings you joy, brings you exercise, brings you maybe camaraderie.
Endorphins.
Yeah.
Social. It's social. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, but the bottom line is, if I were a negative person, I'll be like, oh, I'm so ashamed because I don't play that well. And I am not like that. I really go for the joy of it.
Sure.
And then because I can have a slightly bit of relaxation doing it, I do sometimes make progress and play like a strong player sometimes.
But you make the
I'm
time
making fun of myself,
and you enjoy it though. It doesn't even matter. It's you could do anything. You enjoy it and you're making the time for it. Yeah. We're just about out of time. We can keep going on the guilt.
We're out of time already.
Almost, yeah.
This might have to. We're not out of time yet.
We have like a minute.
Oh, okay. 60 seconds. The pressure's on. But I really think that, the guilt needs to be kind of weeded out from ourselves or from others, whoever's guilty. Sometimes it's from religion. Sometimes it's from just somebody else's, whoever has authority may have like some sort of attitude and cause you to doubt your enjoyment. And I'm not speaking specifically about you or me. I'm just saying anybody could be up against a person like that, but we have to be able to separate and not absorb it and be able to say, wow, that person is just so negative.
Well, because they may be feeling guilty, and I believe that many people are addicted to guilt because they're so used to feeling it in certain situations. I think it comes down to just analyzing, writing it down. Why do you feel guilty? Whatever the situation is, why? Why? Yeah. Think about that for a moment.
Where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of it?
How do we find you? What's the best way to,
My website.
All right. I'm trying to remember it, but
you do it. You're better than me.
Susan Engel-LCSW.com.
Yeah. And it's Susan, my actual name.
Susan Engel. I got the hardest part. I was focusing on the hardest, the -LCSW.com.
Right. Licensed clinical social worker.
Got it.
This is a very good, maybe guilt is also intergenerational. Like maybe it becomes part of our DNA for some people. I guess we're going to have to talk about it again someday. I don't know.
That's a really great point. I believe you're onto something.
Maybe next time we'll talk about ancestry. Well, we'll talk before the podcast and figure it out.
That could be a good one too. Generational trauma. Another one right there. Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Huge. All right. Thank you so much. Always love talking with you. It's all good stuff.
Steve. Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Listen.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.